Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Manufacturing Technology in University Technical Malaysia Melaka. In subject BMMM 2502 Introduction Maintenance, our group will present a case study of hazard identification, risk and risk control HIRARC in industry. Our lecturer's name is Encik Ahmad Nizam bin Jamaluddin. Our group members is Aliza Nadira binti Rosli, Anas Naufal bin Ramli, Brainal Anak Geris, Haikal Zarif bin Ramli, and we are from 2BMM Section 1/2.
Hello, my name is Anas Naufal bin Abdul Latif. So right now, I would like to explain about the abstract of this study. So, in industrial arena, if any industry to be successful, it has to be safe, reliable, and sustainable in its operations. The industry has to identify the hazards and assess the associated risks and to bring the risk to a tolerable level. Hazard identification and risk assessment (HIRA) is carried for identification of undesirable events that can lead to hazard. The analysis of hazard of this undesirable event that could occur and usually the estimation of risk of its extent, magnitude and likelihood of harmful effects. It is widely accepted within industry in general that the various techniques of risk assessment contribute greatly toward improvement in the safety of complex operation and equipment. The objective of this work of hazards and risk analysis is to identify and analyze hazards, the event sequences leading to hazard and the risks associated with hazardous events. Many techniques ranging from the simple qualitative method to the advanced quantitative method are available to help identify and analyze hazards. The use of multiple hazard analysis is recommended because each has its own purpose, strength, and weaknesses.
Hello, my name is Brainal Anak Geris. So today I would like to explain regarding the introduction for our topic. First of all, industry is one of a workplace with a high level from hazard. Every industry should prioritize the working procedure to their workers as their workers face many risks during on job. There are some hazards could occur during the operation as the hazard happen due to work environment which is noisy, consists several major equipment and operations involved in its process. Next, due to the risky workplace, the industry should ensure the worker safety through systematic and regular hazard identification and risk assessment. The industry should develop safe operation procedures, follow HIRARC for routine inspection tests where the higher risk is identified to avoid the unwanted accident to occur, and also the other incidents that are stressful and inconvenient to the workers. Okay, what is HIRARC? HIRARC is the process for managing hazards in the work or operational environment. It is fundamental mechanism for ensuring a safe workplace underlies the basis of modern health and safety legislation. Next, why we need to implement HIRARC. The reasons of HIRARC be implementation are to identify all factors that may risk workers toward an accident. Besides that, is to consider every possibility of hazards that may occur under any circumstances, particular cases and conditions. Other than that, the purpose of HIRARC is to enable workers to plan, introduce and monitor preventive measures against the risk of occupational injury.
In HIRARC process using the flowchart, during the process of hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control, a few stages must be completed in order to conduct HIRARC. The overall work activities were divided into routine and non-routine activities prior to the hazard detection phase. Hazard identification in this study refers to the detection of potential conditions that could result in human harm, disease or death, damage to or loss of a system, equipment or property, or environmental damage. The hazards were identified by watching the work activities of each workstation along the line and writing down the hazard connected with those actions. To detect dangers in the research region, many strategies were applied. The procedures are as follows: checklist for identifying hazard and inspecting the workplace, observation and interview. By referring to the checklist used by other research in prior studies, a checklist was constructed and updated according to the study region. To better comprehend all forms of hazard, the checklist was utilized to include all predicted and unanticipated hazard. This research focused on some of the most important factors of manufacturing lines, including mechanical, electrical, and ergonomic risks. Other areas like working environment and housekeeping, training, the use of personal protective equipment (PPE), facilities and noise have been observed using a general workplace inspection checklist.
In order to implementing the hierarchy in industries, we need to know how the data analysis process is undergo and how the data is collected. In this section, I will explain analysis method, which consists of two methods. The number one is quantitative and the number two is qualitative. Qualitative analysis describes the magnitudes of potential severity that will occur by using words. To be easy to understand, we need to know that qualitative is by word, while quantitative by numerical, by number. From experience, research, and scientific valuation, severity of any event in hierarchy can be determined by making a model of outcome or by extrapolation from past data, study, and experimental or lab study. Risk measurement. Risk measurement is made by identifying how severe and likely the hazard to happen. Risk matrix presentation from the result of risk assessment are essential in order to make decisions on risk control. In order to understand how the risk assessment and measurement working, first we need to know the formula of calculating risk. The formula is R equal to LS, which is R is risk, L is likelihood of the hazardous, S is severity of the hazard. Then the weightage average index formula, we need to know that the formula is sum of Wi times Fi over sum of Fi, where Wi is stand for assigned weight for a particular class under 5 point from Likert scale. Fi is corresponding frequency of that particular class. I is 1 until 5 that illustrate 5-point Likert scale according to specific context. This is the risk assessment matrix level. We can see here how the risk is assessed by using numerical method or quantitative method. We can see here the severity of hazards is divided into 5 groups, which is insignificant, minor, moderate, major, and fatal. While the likelihood of hazard is divided into 5 also, which is rare, unlikely, possible, likely, and almost certain. And each of them is represented by the numerical value here, such as 1 until 5, and also for severity of hazard is 1 until 5. From the valuation of the risk assessment, we can classify how severe, how likelihood of the hazard that the workers opposed to it. Now this is the indication of risk level. After we have done our risk assessment in the previous table, we now can understand which how the level of the risk we are facing. For example, here if the mark shows the risk level is medium, so that we can understand that how severe or how likely of the hazard is going to happen or will be happen. Okay, same goes for low, medium, high, and extreme. But for every single level here, there is a recommendation of action that we need to take as a employer or worker. Now this is the control measure table, which is after the risk assessment, we go to the indicator level of risk. Then now is the control measure, so that we can truly understand and truly analyze the data of the hazard to help us to prevent them well. So this is the level here. We have excellent, good, fair, and poor. Depends on the marks that we obtain from the risk assessment. Okay, this is for control measurement at hazard source. We have 2 points here: elimination and substitution. At hazard source, by elimination of something that are hazardous, we can save lives. For example, hazardous tool, machine, equipment, jobs, and substance, we need to get rid of this material. Then for substitution, or by using dangerous material or doing high hazardous work, we can substitute them to less hazardous one. For example, if we are using highly hazardous chemical, we can we can do more study to use less hazardous chemical substance. Okay, that is for hazard source. By engineering control, we can redesign. As an engineer, we can redesign any kind of machine or whatsoever. For example, here container. We can make container that are easy to hold and easy to live. For isolation, as an engineer, we can design a room that are fully air conditioned to avoid worker from toxic chemical. Then for automation, as we know now, worlds are using automated machine. For example, here milling machine that use robotic arm, but we need to take care of the hazardous to avoid any accident from the automated robotic arm or any mechanized part of the automated machine. Next, barriers. We can build a barriers between hazards and ourselves. For example, here we are wearing glove and goggle in welding process, so our hand and our eyes will be protected from the spark. Next, absorption. Lockout system can isolate energy sources during repair and maintenance. And the last one is dilution. For example, here ventilation systems to dilute toxic gases before it reach workers. Next is control executed by administrative. First one is safe working procedure or safety SOP. We as employers, we need to ensure that our workers follow the SOP practice so that we can reduce the risk of hazard or any injury unwanted. Then the second one is supervision and training. Employer need to provide initial and refresher training on safe work procedure to workers and to staff to enhance appropriate supervision to assist workers in identifying possible hazards. Next one is job rotations. Employers need to arrange more shifts if the industry is hazardous, such as chemical factory. We need to add more shift so that a single workers is exposed to the hazard material or any hazard or toxic gases at less time. In other words, job rotation is to reduce time that workers are exposed to hazards. Next, housekeeping, repair, and maintenance program. In every industry, no matter what industry you are, we need to do housekeeping, including cleaning, waste disposal, and spill cleanup at least once a month, or at very good stage, every week, to reduce area hazards. Somehow, tools, equipment, and machineries are less likely to cause injury, if they are kept clean and well maintained. Meaning that if we always maintain the tool, equipment, and machinery, it is less likely to cause injury to workers. The last one in administrative control is hygiene. In order to reduce the risk of toxic material being absorbed by workers, hygiene procedure or practice should be implemented. For example, a very simple example is after workers end their shift, they need to wash their hands according to the correct SOP, so that they are not bring back the toxic gases or any toxic material to home. Okay. Then the last one for control measure is personal protective equipment or PPE. PPE is including safety outfit such as lab coat, safety shoe, goggle, and glove, and it is used when other control measures cannot be executed or additional protection is needed. At some industries, it is compulsory to apply PPE before you are going to work, and workers and employers must undergo training to use, maintain, and understand the limitation of the PPE properly, because PPE itself, it have different type of equipment for different type of hazard. Okay. Then the employer is expected to require workers to use their equipment whenever it is needed, especially when workers work in hazardous area or doing hazardous processes. PPE may endanger a worker's health by providing an illusion of protection. If there is no care taken, implemented in order you use it. So it is very important to give a care to PPE to ensure it is work properly. That's all from me.
Hello, my name is Anas. So right now I would like to explain about the HIRARC integration of maintenance management process. There is four of the maintenance management process. The first one is classification of work activities. Classify work of activities in accordance with their similarity, such as geographical or physical areas within or outside premises. Other than that, the sequences of production and the service process, aside from above examples, an unnecessary massive size of equipment, tools, and product is one of the work activities classification. Similarly with the otherwise case, which is excessively too small in size. In addition, defining a task is as significant as other classification from loading, packing, mixing, and fixing damage. Okay, the second one is hazard identification. Before we commence any work in maintenance engineers or workers have to point out what kind of hazard could endanger us in aspect of safety hazard, health hazards, and also environmental hazards. Good employees must differentiate which part in the work process are the critical operation. And then the risk assessment. Maintenance engineers need to do risk analysis of the likelihood of hazard that could possibly pose to the worker during the maintenance process. This risk analysis should be done by evaluating how severe hazards can be inflicted. Therefore, it can prevent any exposure of the possible hazard. And the last one is control measures. Control measures include action that can be taken to reduce the potential of exposure to the hazard. Or the control measure could be to remove the hazard or to reduce the likelihood of the risk of the exposure to that hazard being realized. A simple control measure would be the secure guarding of moving part of machinery, eliminating the potential for contact. When we look at control measure, we often refer to the hierarchy of control measures. So, overall integration of HIRARC to maintenance management process. With regard to our study, in the maintenance management process, it corresponds with the maintenance work quality. So, its safety precaution is to achieve quality maintenance work. A good quality maintenance work leads to a good consequence. Few of its benefits we can obtain from sustaining a fair maintenance management quality, how we can reduce or eliminate the unexpected failures and save costs. Meanwhile, we can assure better safety with rest assured and at the same wise increase confidence in any maintenance work performance. Thank you.
Conclusion and recommendation. First, I will explain about conclusion. In this case study, we have investigated and explained the hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control hierarchy in industry. We have identified all the factors that can cause an employee to have an accident. In addition, has considered every possible danger that may occur in employees to plan, introduce and monitor preventive measures against the risk of employee injury. The HIRARC analysis method has been described using two methods, namely quantitative and qualitative. Both of these values indicate HIRARC has proven to be beneficial in minimizing workplace accidents. It may be concluded that HIRARC should be driven and mandated when it comes to managing security in the sector. Despite acquiring the trust of consultants and executives, HIRARC has proven to be beneficial in reducing accidents and controlling dangers. Recommendation. For the time being, the safe work procedures followed by all industry management appear to be effective. Based on the findings, numerous recommendations for improvement can be made in order to maintain or reduce the existing level of risk as well as eliminating hazards. To optimize the equipment reliability and lifetime, it must be maintained on a regular basis. In fact, it has to be potential to prevent accidents caused by device failure. Another that upgrade the equipment or storage system for device. A storage system that is accurate, efficient and secure, not only of future usage but also for safety. Furthermore, boost management involvement. All parties involved must increase their oversight of the tasks being done. In reality, safety and health initiatives should be implemented in the workplace at all the time. And that's all from our group presentation about a case study of hazard identification, risk and risk control hierarchy in industry. Assalamualaikum.